Hey everyone, welcome back to Measure and Mix. Today I have 3 front porch DIYs that were totally free for me to make. If you're new to my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on anything new. Alright, let's get started. So this first DIY is starting off with a ceramic planter I found on the side of the road about 10 years ago. It's in perfect condition. It just had a bunch of foam in it that I couldn't get out, so I placed some dirt on the top, but I could never get anything to actually grow inside the planter. So I thought an artificial boxwood topiary would work perfect in this planter. I found this one on Jocelyn, Maine, but it was way out of my budget. So I thought I could try to make my own with things that I already had around the house. So I'm going to start off with this foam basketball that my son let me have because it's pretty torn up. And I'm going to give it a coat of black spray paint because that is what I had out my garage. And I did this in case any of the orange would show through, it would be black instead. Now I have some boxwood hedges on the side of my house that are in desperate need of some cutting and shaping, so I lopped off the top of them and I came back and reshaped those hedges later, but this worked perfect, so I had a big pile of boxwood to work with. After my basketball was all dry, I started off with one of the branches that I had cut, and I took my clippers and just trimmed off separate pieces so I was left with individual branches. Once I did that, I took the individual branch and trimmed that down just a little bit more and cut the dead off of it if I needed to, and then cut the bigger branch down that would be stuck inside the basketball. Then I just placed my boxwood cutting right inside the foam ball. It worked out really easily. I did use a little bit of hot glue to secure it in there just to make sure it was all snug, which actually it really was. It was a nice fit. It was just like a styrofoam ball, so it worked out perfectly. Then I just continued to cut my boxwood clippings down and add those into the styrofoam ball all the way around the ball, working my way down to about halfway down the ball, keeping the clippings as close together as possible so that way I would have a nice tight look. Once I got about halfway down the ball, it started to get a little top heavy and kind of hard to work with. So I went ahead and placed it in the planter. I did dig a little hole so that way the ball could just fit snugly inside there without it moving around on me while I was working with it. I finished filling in the bottom of the basketball with the rest of the greenery so that way I would fill in all of those gaps and spaces. Once that was complete, I just took my cutters and I went around and trimmed everything up so it would be nice and even and uniform. This turned out so perfect. It's exactly what I wanted and I did it for free. So I couldn't be any more happier with this. And once the greenery starts dying off, I read that you can spray paint it with some green spray paint and it will look brand new again. So that is what I will do.
We were young and we were free and running, never bothered about what could be coming. Every day we danced in life.
This next DIY is super easy. I'm just going to take these address numbers and make an address sign for them. They are pretty worn and chipped and I needed new screws to screw them in. So I'm going to go ahead and spray paint all of the numbers and all of the screws with some matte black spray paint. Next, I'm going to take this piece of wood that I found out my garage. I believe it's a 1x6 board. I don't know what length it's cut to because it was already cut. And I'm going to use this Bare waterproof stain and sealer in the color chocolate to put 2 coats of stain on this board. This is the same stain I used to stain my porch pillars, so I wanted to mimic that look, and that's why I used that for this board. Once everything is dry, I'm going to use these hangers to hang on the back of my board to hang this up onto my brick wall. I just drilled the hangers into this board, and what I'll be doing on my brick wall is just using a masonry drill bit and drilling holes into the wall with some wall anchors, and then I'll just be using these hangers to hang the board on too, so it will work out perfectly. Once that was complete, I just flipped the board back over, laid out my numbers, and drilled my numbers into the board, and it was that simple. I love how this turned out. It looks beautiful with my porch pillars that I stained and matches perfectly.
I got you, rain, God in my way before, pouring like a waterfall.
This last DIY was inspired by this wood curl wreath I found on Pinterest, but I couldn't find where to buy it, so I thought I would try to make something similar. So to get my wood curl effect, I'm going to be using some computer paper because that is all I had. So I just took a sheet of it and I folded it in half, and then I folded it in half again. So I folded it into fours. Then I just cut along those creased lines, so that way I would have 4 pieces of paper and that would create 4 flowers. I took one of the pieces of cut paper and I just started cutting a circle spiral. Once I got to the start of where I started cutting before, if that makes sense, I just cut off that excess squared edge of paper there, and then I just finished cutting my spiral. Once my spiral is cut, I just started at the beginning of the spiral and just started rolling up that paper, making sure that it was tight, and I just rolled all the way around the spiral. And as you roll, it will kind of turn into a little bit of a cone shape to give you that flower look. Once you get to the end, where the spiral ends at, and you have that little disc there, that is what you're going to glue the end of the flower onto. So I just manipulated the flower a little bit and unrolled it so it wasn't as tight. You can make it as tight or as loose as you want. Then I just added a dab of hot glue on the bottom of that little disc and glued everything down, and it gave me a nice little paper flower that kind of looks like a wood curl flower in my opinion. I continued to make paper flowers until I got about 120 of them to cover my wreath. So for my wreath form, I am using this plastic frisbee disc that I got from Dollar Tree because I didn't have a wreath form on hand. So I am just going to start on the inner ring and hot glue my paper flowers around that, and then I'm going to work my way outward until I run out of paper flowers. And just a little note, if you're hanging this like somewhere where it's going to be really sunny and you get a lot of heat, you might not want to use hot glue because the hot glue will melt in the sun and cause your flowers to fall off and things like that. So you might want to use some super glue or something like that instead. The last thing I did was attach a little piece of twine with some hot glue to hang this, and I love how this turned out. It's perfect.
Stay every night and day. I'm delighted 'cause I got you. La 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 la. I'm just fine 'cause I got you. Rain, God in my way before, pouring like a waterfall. I cried a million tears and more to find out where I belong. We're not young, but we're still free.
Thank you guys for watching today. I hope this video inspired you to make some DIYs with what you have for your front porch. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.